You know, sometimes your biggest lessons come from your failures, not your successes. And today I'm gonna share the 5 top lessons I learned from building those SaaS companies and what I would do if I were to build a new one. Get ready for some real talk because these lessons could be a game changer for your next venture. Cool. So I've worked on 2 different SaaS companies, right? One was the signing platform. And the signing platform, the reason why I started that was because my girlfriend at the time, now wife, she had a notary business where she created a signing service from that business. Okay, cool. So here are 5 things I learned from 2 failed SaaS companies, right? So those SaaS companies, one was the signing platform and one was 𝗵𝗫. So the reason why I started the signing platform, because when I actually met my girlfriend, now wife, she had a notary, she was actually a notary. And because she got so much business where she couldn't fulfill all of her orders, she started outsourcing it. And then she started something called a signing service, which is basically a business that outsources notary work. So people would contact her and she would outsource it as a signing service. The way she would contact her notaries, she would call each one, text each one, see if they're available. So what I thought, I was like, well, maybe why don't you have some type of platform that sends a message to all of your notaries where they can accept or decline the invite to, you know, take on the notary business. So that's essentially what I built out. So it was basically a service to outsource all the notary stuff. It had a notary database where you can easily search notaries in the area. And she can manage all the orders on there, message notaries through the platform, manage all of that, check off if they got paid, check off if she cashed in the check for the signing. Like it was pretty complex, and that was my first like real big kind of like SaaS software, right? And this was more of a tool for her own signing service, and then eventually we tried to get other signing services to onboard onto this platform. And well, there's a few lessons I learned from that. And one of the big reasons why we kind of moved away from this is she basically stopped prioritizing the notary business and kind of stepped away from it for a bit. And then that's kind of how I, stopped working on this business. And then not only that, we started thinking about the future of notaries. And if you think about it, what a notary does is they check that you are who you say you are, right? So they check your ID. They're there to witness your signings. For example, when you buy a house or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, well, this can, check identification. So I'm just thinking in future wise, like notaries might not be so relevant, right? So that was that business, and I'll share my learnings pretty soon on that. And then 𝗵𝗫, this one, basically a social media software where you can basically see all your analytics, schedule your social media post. So you would be able to schedule, view analytics. You have like your calendar view on there. You can like approve post if someone was managing your social media. So it's basically a social media software for people who, want to see their analytics. So also like social media managers, right? So these were the 2 businesses, 2 SaaS softwares. This one this was the first one that kind of took a little longer, but probably worked on this on and off for like around a year or 2. And this one for 6 months. So here are the 5 lessons I learned from building these softwares. So number 1, go B2B. What I mean that, so B2B, right? So B2B is business to business. There's also B2C, which is business to consumer. So business to business, you could think of Slack, Salesforce, MailChimp, software that businesses need, right? And then business to consumer, that might be like your Netflix, your Spotify, these smaller applications where people just use it like on the day-to-day, more like you could even think about like social media, right? So the reason why going business to business, like if we think about these other softwares, this one, you can maybe say it's business to business because it's a signing service. And then this one was a little tougher because I feel like this one was more towards consumers, people that want to manage their social media. You can also say social media managers are like the business owners, but the big reason why you want to go business to business is, one, they have bigger budgets, they have bigger teams, so you can charge per seat. And on the consumer side, there's more churn, probably more cheap. And why I say cheap is because when we're doing a lot of market research, reading up on Reddit forums, a lot of people complain about prices for softwares. Like if a software is around $10 a month, people start complaining. If it's around $15 a month, people complain. Once it's $20 a month, people are complaining. So they're just people complaining about the price all the time, right? Most of the time, consumers don't want to pay. They want everything to be free for some reason, right? They'll complain because Netflix is $20 a month, and they'll, like for example, Netflix, they'll complain because it's $10 a month, and they'll just try to use someone else's account all the time and all of that, right? So, yeah, you just focus on going business to business, like right off the bat. And like you can even see here, there's this software called 𝗖𝗲, which is a marketing attribution software. And you can see here the monthly price. It doesn't start off at $10 a month like Netflix might, right? You can see here $379. That's the starting price. And you can see here, depending on how much revenue is tracked for your marketing, it goes up. If you get to limited, it's 4,400, right? So this is one of the biggest things I learned. It was just like when you're building SaaS, like always think it's going to be B2B. Like if you're going to go B2C, then it's probably not worth doing. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two is don't build marketplaces. The signing platform, the notary one, it was a marketplace, right? So it's double the effort, double the resources, double the headache. So it's basically like you're building two businesses at the same time. So for the signing platform, right? For the signing platform, we had signing services, and then we also had the notaries. So for this to be successful, you have to have both. So you have to have the notary, and you also have to have the signing services. So you can't really have a successful platform for this because a signing service can hop on your platform, but if there's no notaries, they can't fulfill their orders. And a notary might hop on the platform, but if there's no signing services to give them business, there's no reason why they're going to want to stay on your platform. So it's just bigger headaches, double the effort. You have to market to these people, and then you have to market to these people. Like even when we're creating the landing page for the signing platform, it was tough because you're like, okay, well, I need copy that's going to resonate for notaries. I need copy that's going to resonate for signing services. So that's one. Two, it's a marathon. This is just software, building software. So both softwares I built them myself from scratch. Software takes a long time to build if you're building from scratch, if you're not using no-code tools or anything like that, right? So building software takes a long time. If you see a lot of these successful softwares, they don't become successful within the next 2 months, 3 months, right? That's probably very rare. It takes a long time. A lot of software companies, they've been around for years, right? If you're going to build software out from scratch, just realize it might take 6+ months. It might take 12+ months to get it up and running. It might take 2+ years, right? It's a long game. And that's one thing I realized with building software. Granted, the second one, Media Me, I was able to build that out pretty quickly because of what I learned from the signing platform. But even then, it's not just building the software. It's also, okay, now I have to find people who want to buy this subscription. Now I have to do market research. I have to talk to clients, to customers, to potential customers. So it's a lot of work. But even though it's a lot of work, I still think it's one of the best business models. So, and with that, one of the biggest lessons was, I think we quit too early with Media Me. I actually really liked Media Me and what we're doing. And the reason why we quit was because it was taking so long. Like we were already for Media Me, we were working on that for, let's just say, I think like over 6 months, maybe a year. And then we got one client finally, and it was so cheap that we just wanted a client, and they were paying us $5 a month. And we're just so like kind of a little discouraged. We're like, wow, at this rate, is it even worth it? And then what ended up happening with Media Me is that we ended up learning about SMMA, because we're kind of in this space where it's like all social media stuff. SMMA, tried it out for like a month or two, and from building our SMMA, I think we made 10K in the first. I think we hit like 12K after 2 months. So this is what I mean. Like if you go and build some type of service-based company, yeah, you'll be able to make a lot of money quick, but just know if you're going to go down the software route, I still think it's one of the best business models, but it's going to be a marathon. It's not a sprint. I think SMMA is definitely could be a sprint, like kind of what happened here, but yeah, it's going to take a long time. And you can see here, we charge $5 a month, and this is why I say if it was a business owner where they really, not only that, business owners, when they pay for software, they see it as an investment, where this is just like, hey, it's a nice tool to have. And then the next one is don't get stuck in the next feature loop. So this is just like if you're building out feature A, feature B, and you're like, you know what, I can't launch until feature C is done. Then you might build feature C, be like, you know what, I don't think it's ready yet. I'm going to build feature D. So don't get stuck in this loop, this next feature loop. It's just, you want to launch as soon as possible. Because once you launch, you can start getting feedback. And feedback is one of the most important things you need. With this feedback, you can start iterating and really, really figuring out. Sorry. With this feedback, you can start iterating and really figuring out what your customers want. Don't just build features because you think they're important. Really make sure they're necessary. Because there's so many different features you can create, but like, is that really what your customers want? Is that really necessary? And then if you get stuck in this while you're building it, you're never going to launch, and you're never going to get this feedback you need. So just narrow it down to whatever is really necessary. You're like, hey, you know what? I could probably launch my first version with this feature A and maybe feature B, and then I can launch and get this first version, and then from there just iterate. And then the last one, build your audience. So this one's really important. And recently I've been reading this book called $150 Million Secret. And then he built a software, the author of this built a software called 𝗪𝗪. Check it out. It's for email marketing. It's a great book. Really great book. And he talks a lot about building your audience in the book. And even with my experience with Media Me, we had the software built out, like the initial software. We had authentication. We had the Facebook integration, all of that already set up. And what happens is your product is ready to go. People are ready to use it. But if you don't have an audience, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get your first clients, right? So if you don't have your audience already built up, if you don't have your wait list, it's going to be way longer before you can get clients. But if you build your audience while you build it, maybe you build in public, you share about it more online and what you're doing, then you can shorten this gap of how long it's going to take you to get clients. Because once you're ready to launch, you can just send a simple email to your wait list, and then you can get your first clients. And then what you can do too is just call it a private beta. So then that way people know if there's any bugs. Well, it's a beta version, right? But if you launch it not saying it's beta, then people expect it to work perfectly. So also another tip, launch a private beta and create your wait list. And if you're also really planning to build a SaaS, I highly recommend that you read this book here. And with that said, that is kind of everything I wanted to go over. And with that said, that's everything I wanted to go over. So as a recap, go B2B. Don't even think about going B2C. Really figure out which software you can market. Really figure out which software solution can go. Really figure out which software solution you can create for a business. So then that way you can start charging these bigger prices up front. Don't build marketplaces. Just don't do it. It's going to give you more headaches. It's like you're building two businesses. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Building software is going to take a long time. Just realize that. Don't give up. Don't go shiny object syndrome, right? Like what happened to me. And don't get stuck in the next feature loop. Really figure out your MVP, which is your minimal viable product that you can launch with, and just launch. And then make sure to build your audience. And those 5 tips, although there's a lot more I can go into, but those 5 tips are going to help me build my next software, which I'm actually in the works with, and it's called 𝗖𝗓. It is a AI analytics and attribution software. It is for marketing agencies, so B2B. What else? Oh yeah, with this, one thing I'm doing for this is creating content around marketing. Eventually I want to create a community for AI, analytics, automation, just like these topics, essentially, is kind of what I like talking about. And this is actually currently in private beta. We have the first version ready to go. And yeah, from all those lessons that I'm learned from building those other 2 softwares, we're actually currently building a software. And although we are still running our agency, what we're doing is we're using the funds from this agency to fuel the software. And that's kind of the plan that we're doing right now. And not only that, this software also actually helps us with our marketing agency. So it's pretty cool. But with that said, I'm going to be sharing a lot more about the 𝗖𝗓 software, but it's super cool. It's super handy. It's really helping us optimize our clients' ads for our agency. And I'm really excited on what we're building, what we're doing. But with that said, those are all the tips I have on what I learned from 2 failed SaaS companies. If you want to learn more about entrepreneurship, software, marketing, automation, all of that, stay tuned for the next video.